Welcome to Friedman Adventures, your home for fishing, food, and travel. And now, let's find your adventure on another edition of Friedman Adventures.
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Phil.
Yeah, you know what? I do have to start back with the story about Desiree, because so many people, millions of people have seen that. I don't even know if you know, but I know you know some of this, but it was on the front page of the New York Post, Reader's Digest magazine, you know very well, CBS Evening News. I mean, it made headlines everywhere, and I literally answer comments, at least 3 every single day. New people come and watch it. So at that moment, when I said, this is not a translator, some people will reference that and say, man, when he slammed his hand down on the desk, that was something I'll never, ever forget. He had figured it out. What was that like for you? Was that a moment that stays with you? I mean, will you remember that moment for a long time?
It was just, you caught me off guard. I mean, like I was telling you, I was clueless. I was, the setup you did or you put together was perfect.
Yeah, I was hoping.
Yeah. Like you had mentioned, my wife had made contact with her, but just through social media.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of contact. So I was kind of telling you, or I think in the story, I was telling you about it. So.
Yeah. In fact, you had said, I think you looked at her, and she had a family and everything, and I was thinking to myself, I know Mark Pisano, and he is so freaking busy that I know he's looking at that, but he's thinking about 100 other things. He's not going to recognize her. I know he's not going to recognize her. And I was right about that, because you got so many balls in the air. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how would I recognize? She was 9 years old when that would have been the last time I saw her.
Oh, you didn't see her on Facebook when your wife?
No, I never saw her.
Yeah.
No, my wife just told me about it. They message each other.
Here's another one that I don't think you know. My son told John Woodrum about it. Mm-hmm. And you were outside. And Strasser was sitting next to me, and Strasser was reading something that he was going to present to everybody. And he's reading, and so Woodrum walks in and goes, oh, so Pisano's the only one that doesn't know she's the girl that they saved? And I looked at Strasser, and he's still reading and ignoring him. He didn't hear it. And I went, get out of here. And he goes, oh, and then he knew, that he almost blew it. I thought, oh my God. But yeah, the way that all came together, I told Philip, you go out, tell Desiree that she's a translator. And he goes, why do I have to do that, Dad? And I go, just tell her she's a translator. What if she doesn't want to do it? And I go, Philip, we're not going to force her to do it. Just ask her. And then he came back and he goes, yeah, she's good. She'll do it. And then the way it just unfolded, I don't know, man. It was an incredible, I almost get teared up thinking about it. It was an incredible moment.
Well, and we were just talking on take one about how if there wasn't COVID and you didn't look for something else to do besides teaching in China,
right?
This would have never happened. Because I told you, I did look her name up. I typed her name in one day and was going through, and I'm not a social media guy, as you know. I got zero presence on social media.
Right. Yeah, Facebook.
Yeah, I don't have Facebook or Instagram, nothing like that.
Right.
So I looked her up on my wife's Facebook one night, and it just kept rolling all these Desiree, and I was trying to find like somebody by the age. I don't know if it shows you the age, or it might show you the age.
It might.
But anyhow, I was trying to narrow it down by either city or age or something, because I knew she was 9.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the only clue. Name.
When were you doing this? Like after we had talked about it recently,
I
or
was
throughout
doing
the whole
it
time?
like 3 years before we talked.
Really?
Yeah. I just one day I got a wild. I was going through my scrapbook and I saw it and I go, I wonder, where she's at or what she's doing.
Yeah. God.
Or if she's still in the area. I know her aunt. Took custody of her.
Yeah. She's an incredible person too, isn't she?
She's great. Yeah, she's, like I told you, we've been out to dinner a bunch of times. She came to our Christmas party this winter where we had our super spreader event. Like I don't know how many. I think like 11 people got COVID from the party, but everybody was okay. It was pretty. That's another thing I've learned a lot in the last year. Just having the boats and learning about this whole COVID thing. It's been pretty interesting, some of the stuff that we've actually feet on the ground have learned just through running the boat.
You want to share any of that?
Yeah, we can. We can talk
Sure,
about it.
go ahead.
Well, it's just, we had one of the craziest things happen. So we go on a 16-day trip.
So you're talking about the Independence?
Talking about the Independence, San Diego.
Lomas.
This is just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Right when that Omicron, I want to say, let's see, it was right, because I ended up getting COVID either right before or right after that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think when I got it. I think I got it right before that, but
Omicron was that variant that was highly contagious.
yeah, it was highly.
But not that.
Yeah,
not
well,
that
that's what
bad.
they called it. I don't even know. My
Yeah.
wife goes, "You had Delta because you were really sick." To me, I didn't think I was that sick. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we test all the passengers, 24 people, line them up. They have the morning of the trip.
Yeah.
We have a company come down. They test everybody.
And so if you're some schmuck that's been planning for this trip and you test positive, you're out of there, right?
So the trip before we had a guy test
man.
positive. Boom, he went
I bet
out.
he was just
he had to go
heartbroken.
home. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, a guy plans for a trip, so he
Yeah.
was positive. So he has to go home and deal with his whole family possibly being sick. So
really.
anyway, so the trip before we actually had to send a guy home. The trip went without a hitch. Nobody got sick on that trip.
Yeah.
We go to do the next trip. Everybody's negative. Perfect. Let's go fishing. So
Yeah.
we go fishing. They have a great trip. They go down. They catch a bunch of fish.
Where'd they fish, by the way?
Down at Hurricane
Yeah.
Bank. Hurricane Bank was biting good.
Right.
They did some drift fishing around the bank, and they also did some anchor fishing, which
Yeah.
you got to have the right conditions for drift fishing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that place can be windy for days on end.
Yeah.
But so they're coming home. Everything's fine. Nobody's sick. Day 15, guy comes up to Wheelhouse, goes, "Matt, I'm not feeling good. I know the guy, I don't want to say his name, but I know the guy well. He's been on a ton of trips. He's a good friend.
Good guy.
Good guy.
He's
I
not
mean, a
gonna
friend.
make-
I got his personal number in my phone, and he
Yeah.
goes, "Hey, I tested positive. I've tested myself."
Oh, he had a test.
He had his own test.
Oh, my
He goes, "I
God.
tested positive." Matt goes, so Matt picks up the phone right when he calls me, and I go, "Well," there's not much you can do now. It's day 15. He's been, everybody got tested. Everybody's been sitting around, each other. No, is anybody else sick? No, nobody else is sick. I go, you could move his roommate, but it's not going to matter. The guy's been in there with him for
Yeah.
15 days.
Yeah.
So I go, give him use one of ours, because we got a bunch of tests on the boat. We bought like 100, and we have them, in case someone's sick, we test them right away.
Yeah.
So, and I'll tell you another story that happened too.
Yeah,
on
and
the
I
boat.
just as a question, so you're hypothetically on day 8 of a 16-day trip.
No, this is day 15.
No, but hypothetically, and you test some guy positive, what do? You
Well,
have to isolate the guy?
we would
or
try
what?
and isolate him,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't had that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Fishing is you cross that bridge when you find it. Sometimes.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so many variables that happen on a 16-day trip.
That you're
you
dealing with.
got medical, you got weather, you got some guy gets a hook in his forehead. I
Yeah.
mean, I could tell you story after story of stuff that's happened out there.
Well,
It's
we're gonna
crazy.
listen-
I mean,
we'll
literally,
get some of those
we
stories.
could write a book about that. Think of all the shit that's happened.
Let's do it.
So yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Get some other guys together, and there's a lot of stories out there that
I
are pretty
know,
incredible.
man.
But
So this guy tests
so
positive,
he
day
te-
15.
So Matt goes, "What do I do?" I go, "Well, you just keep coming home." So he came in, and I think about 6 or 7 guys had it
Oh, really?
that ended up having it. So, but no, and a lot of them didn't have any symptoms. The one guy that did have it, he said he had it sounded like he had like what I had. Yeah, I had a cold-like symptom.
Yeah.
Other than a fever. Usually when I get a cold, I don't get a fever.
Yeah.
But I always, it's kind of funny. I always lose my taste and smell. Usually, if it's a severe cold, I've lost my taste and smell like dozens of times.
You know what? I think I'd have to think about that. But now that you mention it,
Don't you ever, like when you get a cold, you eat something and you go, "Yeah, it doesn't taste good," or "It doesn't taste right."
Yeah. Now that you mention
No,
it.
when I lost it with COVID though, it was like I could gargle with Listerine and not even taste it. So that was kind of a more severe case of
Yeah.
losing taste.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, look at that situation. Like, how
Yeah.
did that? Everybody
don't
tests
know.
negative. 15 days into the trip, haven't had any outside exposure.
Nobody's feeling bad.
Nobody's feeling bad.
That's
And that
crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
That was a crazy story. And then the other one was, and that guy happened to be fully vaccinated. And most of the guys that are actually getting it lately that I've been dealing with, like on the boat or whatever, are vaccinated. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, from what I can see, the vaccination doesn't stop you from getting
here's
it, right?
the crazy thing. So I got young studs for crew members.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all strapping young kids. Most of them are in good shape. You
Yeah,
know?
of course.
So not all of them are vaccinated. I'm not going to put that mandate on them. Say you got to go get a shot.
I agree
mean,
with
what
you,
if a
by
guy
the
goes
way.
gets a shot and he has a reaction, and
Right.
then it's on me. I'm not leaving that on my shoulders.
Right.
But I feel strongly, if you feel like you need it, go get it. If you don't get it.
I
That's
agree
just
with
the way
you.
I feel. You should
I
have a
agree with
choice.
you.
So anyway, all the crew members that were attending to the guys on the boat. None of them got sick. The unvaccinated guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And the vaccinated guys did.
And the
That's
vaccinated
funny.
guys did. So it's weird, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying one way or the other. It's just that's my observation. That's feet on the ground.
That's what happened.
That's feet on the ground,
Right.
not some bullshit you read on.
Well, all right, that's what happened.
Yeah.
We're not drawing any conclusions in case YouTube thinks we're trying to provide.
Yeah.
We're not. We're just telling you what happened.
Yeah, that's just what happened. So
Yeah.
anyway, I had another trip where a guy. This was a 7-day trip. Day 3, a guy gets sick, and again, he's fully vaccinated, and we test him on the boat, but he tests negative. So Matt calls me and goes, "Hey, this guy's not feeling well, blah, blah, blah." I go, "Okay. Test him again in 12 hours or something, or 24. I forget what I told him. Test him again." He goes, "No, he's not." I go, "Well, just, he's not doing well." He goes, "He's having trouble breathing." So luckily we have oxygen on the boat. So we put the guy on oxygen, and he didn't adjust the valve quite right the first time. So the guy sucked the first bottle down pretty quick. I got 6 bottles of oxygen now. Then I only had 3 bottles.
Oh,
because I've had them on the boat for 10 years. I've
never used them. Yeah.
So put them on. We keep them on oxygen. I go, just head for home. Just don't worry about the last little bit of fishing. So they got in about 8 hours early. They had an ambulance waiting for him. They took him, get him to the hospital. He had COVID.
Oh, really?
And the doctor, he survived and he was fine.
Thank God.
But if we didn't have that oxygen, I don't think he would have made it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then there was a handful of there was like 7 or 8 guys in him testing positive. They were all okay. None of the guys didn't have any fatalities, but half of the guys were vaccinated, half weren't. That was early on in it. That was like when the vaccine was just starting to get out, and so that was like I want to say could have been June or July.
Okay.
Or real early in the season of 21. So that was kind of a weird deal.
That just adds another layer of it's difficult, right? I mean, you got a hard enough job as it is, and the kids running the boat, and it's just another level of difficulty, right? Dealing with that.
First of all, you got to figure long range fishing. You got to have the time to go. Got to have the money to go.
Right.
And what does that usually mean? Time and money usually means a guy's not working, retired.
Yeah.
Or he's his own business guy and he can take a week off, or he's got some sort of So a lot of our clientele are older.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys in their 60s, 70s, 80s. I've had guys in their early 90s go fishing.
Yeah.
So, we're dealing with a lot of older guys on some trips, and some trips not. But, so that's just one of the things that, we've had to deal with this year, or last year. Luckily, this year we haven't had any issues.
Have you had any non-COVID related medical stuff that's come up here recently that would be an interesting tale? Anything else?
Not any bad ones, no. Not normally like...
any more rescues at sea or anything?
No, but the fleet has had some.
Yeah, tell me.
I think the Loan. I think the Loan rescued some. A Pongero was trying to bring like 15 illegals from Mexico.
Right.
They were out at Tanner Bank.
What the hell? They go way out there?
They were outside somewhere by Tanner or even Cortez. They were somewhere on those outer banks, and it was the middle of the night.
Oh God.
Yeah,
so
it was.
They're making that. They're going out there to avoid detection.
I don't know. That's the only thing I could figure.
Or they're screwed up.
But it was windy and it was choppy. I mean, if they didn't find them, they would have been toast.
Wow, 15 in a pond.
There's a picture. I had a picture. I don't think I still have it, but there was a picture. There was little kids, middle kids, older people. They were all different.
Oh my God!
All different age groups. So,
and were they sinking or were they in distress? Did they wave?
They broke down.
Oh my God!
They broke down. It was choppy. I mean, there wasn't a lot of freeboard on it. It was one of those super pongas.
Right.
So that was a rescue, and then I heard the Islander had a rescue too. There's every year there's a few rescues.
Yeah.
And it's usually that kind of scenario where somebody's coming across in a boat. That's why we were talking about this immigration thing. I think last time me and you sat down, and there's got to be some clear-cut path, right? Like when my dad came here from Italy, we were just talking about that. There was a clear-cut path. You come into Ellis Island, you get, you do your paperwork, you get fingerprinted, you get whatever, Social Security card, you get identification or some sort, and then they let you go work.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is, so if someone comes here, if they, because I've tried to hire guys that don't have a social, or have the bad social, they buy a Social Security
down
card,
in
or
downtown
whatever,
LA,
or they don't have an ID.
Right.
So I've had problems with having the wrong credentials on an employee that I've hired.
Oh, right.
Because these guys will come up from, like, a lot of these fishermen that know how to repair nets, they'll come up from South America.
Yeah.
And they're here illegally. I mean, we live in California. This is nothing new for us.
Yeah,
right? No. We've a lot of guys that I've hired in the past aren't legally here.
Right.
And a lot of times you don't find out about it until
Later on.
there's like some kind of paperwork
Yeah.
check or something comes back,
And normally they're really good, hard-working people.
Great
So,
people.
yeah.
Hey, I've never had a problem with any of these guys.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. But
And
like,
they come and go. Like sometimes, I have Luis, who he has all his paperwork, but he told me he's been working for me now for like 14 years. He said it was a 4-hour wait at the border to cross the other night. He came up to go. We went fishing.
I believe
we
it.
went fishing not last night before last. And he said it was a 4-hour wait to get across the border.
Mark, sometimes that's a bargain getting up 4 hours. Sometimes I was in that thing for 12 hours.
Well, okay, so that's why they're trying to
Brutal.
cross a river. I'd rather swim across a river than wait 8 hours in a hot car.
No kidding, man. It's really, yeah, I agree though that, and this is not an anti-immigrant thing. I'm married to a girl from Costa Rica. I do a lot of work in Mexico. It's just that there should be a process, right? There should be like some kind of a process to follow because.
Me and you need an ID to drive. We need a social security number to work. We need all that.
Yeah.
So, get them credentialed somehow.
Yes.
Get them vetted somehow. I know it's probably complicated. It's probably not the easiest thing to do, but you do that, and there's tons of jobs for guys here.
Absolutely.
Tons.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people around here. I'm hearing, I don't know if you're hearing the same thing, I'm hearing anecdotally that boats need crew this year. They're looking for crew. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a great guy, Luis, that works for us. He's here legally, but he's married to a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
But they live in Mexico. They live in Ensenada.
Yeah.
And he comes up to work. So he's got to do that border crossing drive. But he's been working for us, and he's been a great crew member.
Yeah, Diego Nuno is the same kind of thing. He lives in Ensenada. He works on the Royal Star. Great guy. I fish with him. He's got a little pond in
Well, you know what a
Ensenada.
lot of the albacore fishermen do? They'll go down. So they leave San Diego. They go down. They pick up crew in Ensenada.
Yeah, I know. I see that. I see him on.
And then they go up and fish off of Oregon and Washington
Yeah.
and up on the border, the northern border, and they're not supposed to get off the boat. It's the same thing when I don't know if you ever noticed it down at Terminal Island when the longliners come in to unload their fish. All their crew are usually Vietnamese or they're foreign. I think a lot of them are Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to a few of the guys down there, but they have actually it's like a marshal guy will come down and he'll oversee to make sure nobody's getting off the boat.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I saw that in Taiwan when the boats were coming into Taiwan. All Filipino crews because they could get away with paying them a little bit less.
Oh, is that it?
So yeah, they had all Filipino crews there. So yeah, it's interesting, huh? Well, you brought up that word, so let's talk about that for a moment.
What word's that?
Albacore.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? I started all this nonsense last year. Okay, so the models all say La Nina. I talked to Bobby Taft up there in the wheelhouse of the Top Gun 80, and he said, yeah, I think they're coming back this year. And he spelled out, do you have an opinion on it? Because some people just feel like they're extinct and they're never coming back, which is not true.
There's an old fisherman saying.
Let's hear it.
We fishermen live in hope and we die in despair.
Yeah, that's true, right? That is true.
So we hope there's going to be but you know what? We've had good conditions, I think, for albacore. Right now, that Bluefin area, the water is 61 to 63 degrees.
Ooh, that's algae weather.
63,
water, right?
63 and a half I'm hearing. And it's early. We're still in April.
It's
so
too
that's
early.
normal water.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's warm or cool. That's pretty normal
For SoCal.
for this area.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's off and down where they're fishing that
Yeah.
bluefin below the border, 50 or 60 miles.
Yeah, right. You know, I saw that the El Dorado the other day. I don't know if he did catch us or not, but he put in his count 10 Spanish jacks. And they're not normal. I mean, it's you. I mean, there's been years where we've caught them here locally, but I remember catching a lot of Spanish jacks on kelps when you're fishing albie, and I'm sure you do too.
So there's Spanish mackerel like we catch for bait, which are 8-10-inch fish,
Right.
and then there's Spanish jack, which look exactly like a Spanish mackerel, but they get up to like 8-10 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we used to gaff them. So one year I remember, and we had no albacore that year. I want to say it was probably like around 90-ish.
Yeah, there were local fish here, right?
There were local fish, and we were fishing them down.
It was 90 because I wrote an article on it. I remember.
Okay, so we were out fishing sand bass.
Yeah.
And we were out in about 120 to 140 feet of water drifting, and there was spots of barracuda, bonita, sand bass, and it was all mixed up. So you get this, you'd go out there and you'd sonar around and you'd get this big scattered out area of fish, you know.
Yeah.
And you start throwing bait and all this fish would come up boiling.
Yeah.
And it was great fishing. You'd catch like 300-400 mixed fish on a half day trip, and we're catching these big sand bass. I mean, sand bass up to about 10 pounds.
Damn.
We're catching barracuda, bonita, and we're catching these Spanish jacks.
Wow.
And these Spanish jacks have that round, real soft mouth.
Yeah, that
you
hook
can't
pulls
lift them.
right out.
Yeah,
right?
you can't lift them over. You got to gaff them or net them or something.
Yeah, right.
But I'm not kidding you, Phil. They were like,
Damn,
they were
those
like
are
5, 6, 8 pound average,
nice.
like
And
big ones. And you fillet them out, and it's beautiful
they're
meat.
good eating,
Yeah.
man. Right?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Was that a good albacore year in '90?
I don't.
Do you remember?
I can't remember, but I don't think there was much albacore that year.
Uh huh.
But those are true Spanish Jack. I
Yeah.
don't know what kind of Spanish Jack he's putting in.
Yeah,
there.
I'm not
know,
sure either. I just saw it in the count and was
Because you
wondering.
can call regular Spanish mackerel Spanish Jack.
That's what I was
'Cause
thinking.
A Spanish mackerel, the true name is a Jack mackerel
Right.
or a Spanish Jack.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm not sure.
I'm not either. I have no idea. What's the deal with fuel nowadays? Is it still going up? How come?
Well, it stabilized, but it went up so quick, it knocked our socks off.
God, I know. And-
Because we make, like, for long range fishing, we make our prices a year ahead of time.
yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking.
We've been, I could say for the last, at least for 5 years, maybe longer, probably even 6 or 7 years, that fuel's been between $2 and $3 a gallon. Sometimes it'll bump up, and sometimes it'll bump down, but then it'll settle right in that two for marine diesel,
Yeah.
red dye diesel.
Right.
Which, red dye you're not allowed to use on land.
Yeah,
you don't
right.
use it. So we were paying about anywhere from $2. So we set our price at $3.
Yeah.
And no problem. We haven't done a fuel surcharge, and I can't even remember the last year we did it.
Yeah.
It's been over half a dozen years.
What is it now?
So we're paying close to $5 a gallon for
Wow.
marine diesel.
Oh my God.
So I think the price on the fuel we got last was like $4.88 or something. So we're a cup. So we have a formula because we have to charge a little bit of a fuel surcharge. So on a long range trip, we're burning about 550 gallons a day. So our price is about $2 more to about, let's call it $2 with taxes and all the other garbage they put in there.
Yeah.
So we're paying about $2 more a gallon. So if you look at that and you figure your fuel you're using, so you're burning up about a little over $2,000 a day.
Jeez.
More in fuel. So you got to divide that up according to the amount of people on the boat.
Yeah.
So say you have 20 people on the boat.
Yeah, $100 each, right?
Well, if you
That's
got
$2,000, right?
that's $2,000.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do though? You'll go broke.
Did I do the calcs right on that?
I don't know.
Let me see. If it's $2 a gallon, so $1,000 more. Because at 500, let's just round the numbers.
Yeah.
We burn about 550. So instead of spending 1,100 on fuel, we're spending.
Gotcha.
So it's 1,200.
Yeah.
So 1,200, say if you're dividing it by the number of people.
Yeah, $60 each, something like that.
$60. So on a load of 30, I think we're charging like $30 more.
Yeah. Yeah. God Almighty.
And we're eating a little part of that too.
And I'm reading, and you're probably a student of this much more than me, but I read there's a worldwide shortage of diesel that it's
heard
a problem.
that.
I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah, I've heard that. We'll see in the middle of summer.
Yeah. I hope not.
That's usually when things really hit the fan is the summer.
Yeah.
Like the fuel prices normally for gas go up in the summer because everybody's traveling. They figure they can bump the price 50 cents or whatever. And nobody's going to say anything.
Yeah, right. Hey, a guy that you hooked me up with who's become a good friend and a delightful guy, and I've dropped in on him at his house a few times, Pete Demers
Oh, yeah.
from the LA Kings. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's always down there doing something with the homeless, feeding, doing stuff.
He's always been involved in community volunteer
Yeah, he's
stuff.
an awesome guy.
I mean, everything. When the Kings used to do like a charity poker event, me and him would go down and I'd play poker, and he would, he'd sit with all the retired players and some of the current players and sign autographs. And, a lot of the players back when, I didn't know Pete back then.
Oh, when you were going to the Kings games?
I didn't know Pete back when I was a season ticket holder for 8 years.
You're a
but
big hockey fan.
I met Pete after the fact, but so a lot of the players used to fish with, like Rich on the Jawbreaker here.
Right, that's right.
So I got to meet like Blake and Rob Blake and Alex Zhitnik and a bunch of guys. Renee Chapdelaine, who was played a little short time for the Kings, but
I remember. He actually went over to the Ice Dogs for a little while.
He
I
did.
remember. Yeah,
he did play for the Ice. As a matter of fact, when he came fishing, we took him and his son out fishing one day, and I'll never forget because we got in this really good sea bass bite, and we were telling people like, hey guys, once you catch your one fish, just step back and just let these other guys get their limit.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a big, we're helping people and we're trying to police it and, trying to tell people not to fish sometimes. Guys going, I'm trying to catch a barracuda up here, and he has a sea bass on. I go, you got to let it go, or you got to give it, that's before he had boat limits. So we were like releasing. I go, don't fish anymore because you're releasing these sea bass, and we're trying to get these last 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
So Renee's son caught one early. Like he got one like right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then I think Renee was the last guy to get one. And
I bet he was dying.
he was the last guy fishing.
Yeah.
So he got one.
Only guy with a bait in the water.
Yeah, a lot of those guys, like especially a lot of the guys from Canada, they're all
into the outdoors.
They're into the outdoors. They've done a lot of fishing. They come down here. They're all of a sudden they go from Canada, now they're in LA and a lot. But there's a lot of different stuff that nice thing about California, you can do so many outdoor things.
Oh my God.
You can go fishing one day and the next day you go snow skiing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so versatile, the geography here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those hockey players, I knew a guy who, I won't give his name up, but he wrote for the LA Times for years and years and years, and he'd say, man, sometimes the basketball guys and the football guys, they're just not as nice as the hockey guys. It seems like hockey players are really down-to-earth guys.
They are.
That's been my
the guys that I've met.
And I know a lot of basketball, Brian Shaw and a bunch that are the same thing. I'm not trying to, but the hockey guys just seem really down-to-earth.
Yeah. I haven't, other than like some of the football guys, I used to take some of the Raiders out fishing back when Lester Hayes and when they won the championship back in the day here.
Was Lester Hayes a big fisherman?
He loved to fish.
Yeah? Did he fish with you a lot?
He did. He ended up, so one day we were sitting there running the boat. It was, I'm trying to think what boat. Oh, it was the first string.
Yeah.
And my crew member comes up. I was always crew member goes, who's on the boat? And I go, I don't know. I walk on the boat. I start the boat up. I'm driving the boat.
Going.
He goes, man, we got like 7 or 8 of the Raiders on here. I go, yeah. So he goes, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So we're looking at the jackpot list because they're in the jackpot.
Oh, shoot.
It's Don Mosbar, and it's Van McElroy, Lester Hayes. I forget all the guys. There's like 6 or 8 of them.
That's bitchin'.
So that's back when they had the Carson practice. Remember they practiced in Carson?
Yeah.
So they came out fishing. So I see Lester in the bow. So I go up and I go, hey, bud, I go, let me help you. I go, you're rigged up wrong. So I rig him up differently. He goes, fish. He was telling me fish. He's from Texas originally.
Yeah.
And he had fished down in the Gulf somewhere. And I go, yeah, we fish differently up here. And he goes, let me show you how to cast. And, so I showed him how to use a conventional reel a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had a rental or if he had somebody. I don't know what type of rod he had, but he had a conventional rod.
Yeah.
Dude, within 5 minutes, because they're all athletic, they're casting. These guys are casting like they've been casting for 20 years.
That's funny.
And then he started coming out by himself, so I got to know him. He's a great guy. He's taken us to football games.
Really?
After he was retired, me and Paul went to a football game with him.
How nice.
It was a Raiders and Rams at the Coliseum.
Wow.
What a wild game.
Yeah,
I mean, just in the stands, what a wild game.
I know, it gets crazy.
Fans were fighting, and I'm with him.
Yeah.
I'm with this guy right here.
That's funny, man. I went to a Chicago Blackhawks game with my mom. She was a Chicago girl. She goes, you got to go to the stadium. You got to go. It's just shortly before she died. So we went to the stadium, and, it was magical. That old organ in Chicago playing. It was the 4th game of the Stanley Cup Finals, Pittsburgh versus Chicago. Chicago was down 3-0. They lost. So Pittsburgh swept them, and I watched the cup get skated around. That was cool. But my mom, just like you're talking about the fans in Chicago, and Pittsburgh. So all of a sudden, we got Chicago fans behind us, Pittsburgh fans right in front of us, F you, da-da-da, and beer. My mom gets soaked with beer. And I go, Mom, are you okay? And she goes, I told you this was a great place to go to a hockey game. I mean, she, loved that atmosphere. And that whole thing where, it's just so, those guys, I mean, Chicago fans want the Hawks to win and Pittsburgh. And as long as I get too crazy, it's kind of fun, all that.
I got a funny story. So John Woodrum that owns the Pursuit, worked with him forever.
Yeah.
He's married to DeVetta, who's cousins with Robert Trujillo on Metallica.
Oh, really?
He's a bass player.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah. So she gets tickets one time. So we're at this concert. That's when our kids were little. Like my son and Gary were like, they're young, really young.
Yeah.
And it's us. It's me, my wife, my son, John, DeVetta, and Gary. So all of a sudden, these kids are in front of us.
Yeah.
These young kids, like they were probably 20, and they're drinking and they're smoking and they're getting sick. They're starting to throw up in front of us. It's getting gnarly, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the concert's going now. It was after the first band,
Yeah.
and some guy walks in and he sees them and he ends up punching these guys out.
What the hell?
Like they get in this giant fight in front of us, and I'm trying to shield my son, and I literally had blood on my shirt from this
my
guy.
God.
This guy just smashes this guy's face with a punch.
Oh my God.
So we get out of our aisle, we walk up, a couple aisles, and the security comes in and takes them all out. And he's looking at me, he goes, "You saw it? They started it?" And I go, to be honest with you, I didn't see who started it, but I'm like, it was kind of one of those scenarios where you're talking about like just things went sideways real quick.
Oh my God, I know. They can go sideways at stuff like that.
I've been to a ton of concerts, and that was the first time I ever had a fight. But when I used to go with my buddies, we didn't give a shit if there was a fight. I've seen plenty of fights in bars and concerts or whatever. But when you're with your wife and kids, you're like,
it's a little different.
It's a little different.
Yeah, exactly.
So after we went backstage and we met Robert, and it was really
that is freaking cool.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. And what's he doing now? Do you know?
He's still with them.
Cool.
I think he is. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm assuming he's still with them. I haven't heard. I haven't went to a concert in
Yeah, me either.
at least 2 years.
I sent my wife, who's from Costa Rica, doesn't speak English. Her mother doesn't speak English. Patrick and Patrick's girlfriend at the time to the Ted Nugent concert because I had just interviewed Ted, and then he was playing next to Angel Stadium, so I was doing a radio show. I couldn't go. And I'm thinking, then they're right up front, and Ted's a pretty hard rocker, heavy metal. I'm thinking, my wife, what is she going to get out of this? And her mother?
Yeah.
But, what the hell?
It'd be cool.
And when I came walking over there, I got off my show. She was raving about what a great experience, and her mother's 90 years old. Oh, God, this was so great. It was funny.
Yeah,
It was bitching.
that's cool.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to do. And this probably be easy is to almost do like a trip on a boat, like take Tom Durr's boat out.
Yeah.
With like a guy like Nugent.
Oh my God.
Or like because there's a lot of these guys that he's a real outdoorsy guy.
He
Ted
is.
Nugent is.
He
I know he
is.
likes to hunt. I don't know about fishing, but most hunters and fishermen they're usually hunter fishermen.
Yeah.
And they usually lean one way or the other.
Yeah.
They either like to hunt more, or like to fish more.
Yeah.
I like to fish more, but I do hunt.
And Ted's a hunter, I think.
He's a bow hunter, I think.
Yeah, he is.
That's a whole different level of
Yes.
hunting.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, and he's a
He
smart
seems like
guy,
it.
man.
I've seen some interviews with him. He seems like a really down to earth, like fun guy to take out fishing.
He's funny, and he's got a great sense of humor. He's a bright guy. Another guy I interviewed was what's his name? Fonzie.
Oh, you talking about
The Fonz.
Yeah, that's Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler. Great guy. He's a big fly fishing guy.
Oh, really?
So he loves fly fishing.
Yeah.
But something tells me they might be on different sides of the political spectrum. I may be wrong, but that would be funny to get him and Nugent together on a trip.
I don't know.
I'm not either.
We'll go fishing.
Forget all that BS, right?
Forget all the BS. Here's another funny story that just happened. How like this country's so like one way or the other. Yeah, it's divided.
Yeah.
You're either this way or that way. So I got these two guys. I won't mention names again, but they're good buddies. They're like Facebook buddies.
Yeah.
And they go fishing. And, what trip are you going on? And they've been buddies for years, right?
Uh-oh.
Well, one's right, one's left.
Yeah.
Dude, they got into it. They're ready to throw down on each
Are
other.
you serious?
Yeah.
You mean?
Like, so they got in a big argument. They started arguing with each other, and I go, and I think they've made up since. But I mean, in all the years I've been on boats, we've never had any kind of like political dissension. Like, in other words, some guys saying, "Oh, this should be that way." We don't talk politics.
Yeah.
We're going fishing. We're having a
get
good
away
time.
from that crap.
We're all a bunch of Americans that are enjoying the outdoors.
Exactly.
And, the old saying, don't talk politics with your friends at dinner.
Or religion. Yeah, exactly.
Or religion. Yeah, religion
exactly.
could get sticky too.
Yep.
Politics get sticky. There's, a handful of subjects that get sticky.
Yeah.
And I think if you keep it that way, but
I agree with you, man.
I think the biggest problem now I see is our media has gotten so divided.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you either have your right-wing media or your left-wing media.
You don't have
and I've told you, I'm kind of in between. I'm kind of an independent. I'm more of a libertarian. I just want to go work. I want to bust ass. I don't need the government giving me 18 different permits to hang on a wall. I mean, give me a permit. Check out my boat. Give me a license. I'm gonna go fishing.
Let me work.
If there's something I need, I'll get it. But I'm kind of I'm in that category. I just and I've created a nice, successful business over the years.
Oh my God, have
But
you ever?
I've talked to restaurant guys in town here. It's incredible the amount of things you need to do and the hoops you have to jump through to open a restaurant.
I can
in
imagine.
LA County.
Yeah.
Now I know another guy in Orange County. He says it's no problem.
Really?
So you would think it's all in California, guy. It should be an equal process, but it's not.
It's not.
And I think that's a problem being in LA right now.
Yeah.
I think we need some leadership here that's going to step in and say, "Hey guys, listen, we need to work on these." For one, the homeless thing. There was a thing going on today. I don't know if you saw that.
I
coming
didn't
in.
see it.
Well,
There was a big traffic jam on the freeway. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
no, but so right there at the corner of Harbor and where it merges into Minor, there's that little strip.
Which is right across from
from
the
the
Little League
yeah,
field.
from the Little League
You know,
field.
so you,
Yeah.
I mean, you got your kid. You can't send your kids down there alone.
It's like once every week or two, there's so much trash that builds
Yeah,
up there and
I see it.
just filth. They move all the homeless people across to the Little League area, across the street,
Clean it up.
and they go to clean it up, right? And then they move back in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, to me, so they say that's compassionate.
Right.
That's not compassionate. Letting someone live next to the road that can get, I mean, literally like 5 feet from where a car could hit them.
I couldn't agree with you more.
There was a guy a couple weeks ago that had his tent set up in the bike lane. So when you were going by with your car, you were literally a foot from the tent.
Oh my God.
Well, in LA, if you drive around, there's all kinds of stuff like that in LA, but we need to do something about it.
Right. And you are absolutely right about one thing. There's a certain part of the population who says, this is the best thing to do. Let these people live on the street. And you hate the homeless if you are against that. This is the compassionate thing to do. And you're making the point, how is it compassionate to let a lot of mentally ill people live in their filth and squalor out on the street under the elements?
Yeah.
How is that compassionate? Those people need some help. They need some medical stuff. There are families trying to raise kids. You can't have kids going over there.
If you get a few business guys, like whoever, I got ideas. There's contractors. There's different guys that will. You get together, non-governmental people because
that's how you'll solve it.
I'll tell you. The reason being is when a business guy goes into business, he's got a plan. If you don't stick to that plan, you go out of business.
That's right. The government doesn't do that. They just keep overspending.
Well, most government officials aren't. They went from college to
that's right.
a job or two, and then maybe a lot of them are attorneys
Yep.
that now are in the political field, but they've never had to run a business to where you go, well, shit, I can't afford to hire 3 guys right now. I can only hire 2 guys because, like, it's in the office. I always want 2 people in the office.
Yeah.
But there's times when we need 4 people.
Yeah.
I never want anybody working alone because we've been robbed in there a few times.
Yeah.
We've been robbed at gunpoint there. One time we had 20 grand stolen out of
my God.
a box. The guy was counting his money and he put it somewhere and he turns around and some dude comes in or reached in the window and grabbed it or something and took off. We've had a few things, but the bad one was we had the guy on camera too. The guy came along the side of the building with a gun.
Really?
And he came
Recently
in.
or?
Oh no, this was a few years ago.
Yeah. Make sure they know I'm broke here in the podcast.
Yeah,
Have you
no
ever
kidding.
seen them?
They can have they can have my $100 or whatever's in my wallet, my $50. Here, take my wallet. Just leave me my credit cards and ID. That's just my driver's license is too hard to get. That's probably worth more than $100.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I see what you're saying though. Get business guys involved in trying to come to a solution for the homeless people, right?
So yeah, I mean, we talked about this a couple years ago when we did the first podcast.
Yeah.
But if you come up with a plan and you work your plan out, it'll work. You can do stuff, and you need to group them into an area. Like even if you got out there by Irwindale or somewhere where there's land.
Yeah, right.
And you construct. Doesn't have to be
the Taj Mahal.
Doesn't have to be the Taj Mahal. They're talking it's like 50 grand or 40 something thousand to build one of those miniature houses.
Yeah.
They're tiny little miniature houses. I think you almost have, like, they built this place right down here. It's I don't know what they named it, but it's right by the old Marine Hardware.
Yeah.
And they got signs up around it now. There's no street camping within 1,000 feet of the place.
Oh, okay.
But what good does that do? So you drive down the street and then they set up their tent.
Yeah, 1,001
so
feet
there's
away.
like, I want to say there's 50 or 60 beds in there. And,
Yeah.
And there's showers and it's a place where a person can go. But I think more importantly is if you can congregate them into certain areas.
Yeah.
Then you can actually get people to go in there and figure out, hey, who needs help?
Who needs help with alcoholism, drug addiction, mental
All that
problems,
stuff, all the above.
Yeah.
You know,
Physical ailments, all that.
I mean, we've all seen videos of. I mean, you go out to L.A., you go up to San Francisco. We've all seen, you know, what's going on.
Yeah.
Either you can get online and look, but I mean, the drug thing's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, people just doing drugs out in the open and stuff.
Yeah. And it seems like no one is.
We were growing up, we were afraid to drink a beer outside.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, hey man, we're drinking a beer, we might get in trouble.
Yeah, now they're shooting heroin and everything else.
Yeah,
and
it's
doesn't seem to be
a
a
different
big
world we live in from 40 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. What about the bait business? How's that? You're an expert. You're an expert in so many things, long range and everything else. How's the bait business?
I'll tell you right now, there is so much sardine around.
Is there?
It's incredible. And you know, what we're seeing, and I haven't seen the new surveys come out.
Yeah.
But they just don't match. They don't align.
So the surveys are saying there's not much
There's
sardine
not
around.
much. But they're surveying off these giant ships that are out in 20 fathoms.
Yeah.
But you get inside of like 10 fathoms, and there's so much sardine, Phil. I have never seen, I've been fishing bait 15 years, and I commercial fish. I have never seen this much sardine.
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
And yet they are saying that there's not that much sardine, and
saying there's not much.
And then you're going to get possibly some restrictions or something. Is that the worry, right?
So yeah, I mean they've been talking about it, but so I left the dock at midnight. I was back to the receiver of my second load at 3:30.
Wow.
We caught the bait less than a half a mile from the dock.
Wow.
Both loads.
Yeah.
Oh no! First load we caught a half a mile. The next load I unload and I'm at the barge tied up unloading, and my sonar is going, and I go, hey, there's a spot off the barge.
Really?
Yeah. So I went and I saw another spot, and I got far enough away from the barge. I set it, I caught it, I brought it back to the barge.
Wow.
I was within 100 yards of the barge when we got done with the set.
That's amazing.
So
that suggests a pretty healthy ecosystem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's and then a couple months ago, the sardine had moved out, and I'm looking, and I had to go down to Huntington Beach to catch it, which it does. But the problem was we had an anchovy influx. So when the anchovies move into the harbor, and I mean when they move in, it's incredible. I mean biomass, thousands and thousands of tons will come in.
Really?
Yeah, and they come in the deep channels, the shipping channels.
Yeah.
And they'll be just stacked from the bottom up to sometimes 5 fathoms. And the thresher sharks are in them.
Oh, right.
And when that stuff moves in, the sardine usually relocates. So like if there's sardine in the harbor, you'll set on anchovy, you get a few sardines mixed.
Yeah.
But they'll usually move south or north or wherever they move, but they kind of separate themselves. So there's different areas where so then you'll go through, like I needed sardine one night. I drove to the harbor, and it was just, I'm not kidding, there was anchovies from one end of the harbor to all the way down to Long Beach.
Oh my God.
Just solid.
And when was this?
This was like 6 weeks ago maybe.
Wow.
6-7 weeks ago. And then then I went through a blank period. I go, okay, I'm out of the anchovies fine, because I had anchovies the day before.
Yeah.
The guys wanted some anchovies, so I caught anchovies and brought it to the barge. So I go, I need to get some sardines. So I went down, and then all of a sudden I hit like the sardine border, and then I started seeing sardine, and I sit on a nice school and brought that in. And then after that, I saw spot after spot after, the sun came up, and then there were spots there you could see them up, the birds on them, and they were breezing, and there was just a ton of sardine, but it was actually moved east of where all the anchovies were.
Yeah. So when you look at your sonar, can you tell the difference between how sardine sonars and anchovy or not?
Yeah, I can. It depends on the time of day, and then how I also use my photometer and my up and down meter to see how they congregate. So depending on daytime or nighttime, depth of water and whatnot, they'll mark differently. So I have a pretty good clue what I got.
Yeah.
What I'm setting on.
Have you seen this much anchovy for many, many years? Like what you're seeing now?
Oh no, we've had a lot of anchovies.
We have?
Yeah, I mean, but the guys want sardine for the most part.
Yeah.
And they're big anchovies. They're beautiful anchovies.
Oh, are they? Yeah. Like that Morro Bay kind of big?
Not
anchovy?
quite like that.
Yeah.
I call those oceanic anchovies.
Yeah.
But we were bringing the Migo down a couple years ago. We were off of Point Doom, like 6 or 7 miles, and we started seeing these breezers. We pulled up on one, and it was those giant oceanic anchovies, and they were just they were everywhere. Wow. And you could have said anywhere, and big giant schools in the middle of the day.
Do you think we'll ever get back to that good migratory sand bass fishing. What's up with that? Do you have a guess at what's up with that?
I have no clues.
Yeah, I know.
I have no clues.
God, do you remember those days? Of course you do.
Yeah, I mean, when we had the half-day boat, Monte Carlo and first spring, we used to do a lot of tagging stuff. Iser would volunteer the boat.
Yeah.
And we would take out just friends and family and people in fishing game and whatnot, and we'd go down to, down the Huntington Flats.
Yeah.
We'd start catching these sand bass. Excuse me. And they would tag them. I mean, literally, they would, they had like a thing of water. You drop them in, or they had like a place to place them, like, because it was good at times. You'd have 5 or 6 flying over the rail all the time.
Yeah.
And they were, and then they put that tag in them, and use the fleshy part up by the dorsal fin.
Yeah.
And you'd throw them back, and usually in a night we would get 10 that we had just tagged, caught. You catch them again, and you just shake them off right away. But we used to do that. We like 500, 600, 700. And I remember one night we did 1,000.
Jeez.
We tagged 1,000 sand bass.
Oh my God! And we don't do that anymore, do we? Is anybody?
Well, we don't have that fishing to do it if we wanted to.
You're right. I forgot about that really important
they
part.
still tag calico bass.
Yeah.
Calico bass move around a lot more than we ever thought.
Uh-huh. What kind of data do we have on that? They move like how far?
I was just looking at something the other day. Where's my iPad? What did I do with my iPad? I'll look it up when we get a minute. But they had some data on like how like the furthest. I'm trying to think who sent me that. If it was SAC, I forget who sent it to me. But it had some calico bass data on it.
Moving hundreds of miles, like? Or?
No, I think the most one moved was like 50 something miles.
Yeah, that's a pretty good little jaunt.
But
right?
that would be like from Dana Point to San Diego.
Yeah, that's a hell of a swim.
So if they can go 50 miles, they can go 150 miles,
yeah, absolutely.
200 miles, 300 miles, whatever. They're not a fish that's going to swim out in the middle of the ocean and swim across the Catalina, I don't think, but who knows?
Yeah, you never know, because I've heard guys seeing sea bass like in the middle of the
I've
channel
heard of
years
that.
ago.
I've never seen it, but
I haven't either.
I've heard of that. Well, I know gill netters get them out there.
Do they?
Yeah, drift nets.
Yeah.
Oh, they knock the shit out of them.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Just drift netting.
Wow. And
like most of the time they're fishing like barracuda or something.
Yeah, and they end up with a bunch of sea bass way out there.
A bunch of sea bass will get in the net.
That's crazy. Well, Tucker McCombs. Yeah. There was a guy who was out with him yesterday, Oscar Ochoa, and they were doing run and gun fishing on the sea bass, and he said, Oscar was telling me, he looked off the bow and saw this big shiner of sea bass all up on the surface, 40 of them, like 30 pounders.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, his jaw dropped. And that was the kind of fishing they were doing yesterday, just run and gun. Like Tucker would run, get a sonar mark, tell everybody, okay, go.
Were they getting them on artificials?
No, it sounded like squid, all
squid.
Yeah, and they've been getting them up there on the frozen squid, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've had a little difficulty sometimes getting
them
alive.
I know they fish this little, I don't even know what it's called. It's some little, like, rubber bait, plastic bait.
Uh-huh.
And they'll do that. They'll cruise along and they see them and they cast on them and they bite them.
But unfortunately, it looks like and I have a charter with Tucker Wednesday night, but I think we are weathered in.
No, weather doesn't look good, man.
Yeah. It looked brutal.
Hey, April is like.
Yeah, I know.
I call it a 50-50 month. You get about 15 days out of the month you can fish, and you get about 15 days out of the month you can't fish.
Sometimes it lasts a little bit into May also.
Well, and the problem with the spring is you get a big swell because it's blowing right now it's blowing from like Eureka down.
Yeah.
So from right now as we're sitting here, from Eureka to Conception, it's blowing like
to 30, 25.
26 knots right above Conception, gust to 34. And even more so up there. I tell you, man, when I went up to Eureka a couple years ago, it's 40 just above San Francisco, gust to 40.
Wow.
So 20, so it's 40 gust, 30 sustained 40 gust.
Jeez. So it doesn't sound too good for us, does it?
Yeah.
Unless some miracle happens. And with you, a miracle might happen.
Yeah. So let's see, what day are you going?
We were going to go Wednesday night.
Wednesday
But it was looking pretty brutal last time I looked at it.
Let's see what Wednesday night is.
Keep my fingers crossed that you say, hey, it's okay.
Okay, so Wednesday at 1800, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Santa Rosa is blowing. Where are they fishing at?
Yeah, they're fishing. I don't know if I'm supposed
21
to say. 21
knots.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Thursday at 4 in the morning, it's sustained 25 knots. You're not going.
Yeah.
Because
no.
I'll tell you what gusts are.
Yeah, gusts are going to be up toward 30, 35 or something.
37.
Yeah.
Gust to 37.
Yeah,
That's in the morning hours.
Oh, that's when it's calm.
Yeah, that's at 4 in. So.
Yeah, we're done.
Oh yeah, no, you're not at 1500. It's 35 gusts to 35 at Rosa, and it's getting Nick, and it's kind of carving its way around Clemente a little bit. It's not really hitting Clemente as bad. So Clemente looks maybe doable, but yeah, it's typical April, Phil. It's just,
it happens every single year. And sometimes, as I say, it'll go into May, and sometimes you get a windy summer, actually.
See, Friday looks good at Clemente. Doesn't look, Friday looks real good at Clemente.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that, but see, the blue is all good. It kind of
Yeah.
eddies around, does that Catalina eddy.
Right.
And then Saturday is good. Look at Saturday's beautiful.
Yeah.
So if I was going fishing, and then down here where they're fishing the Bluefin down here,
It's nice.
it's
I
good.
think I saw. Yeah.
It's good.
I looked at that, and it looked like it was going to stay
It's
pretty
kind of
nice.
it's more on the offshore waters.
It
I think
is.
they're just inside the wind line fishing that Bluefin.
I think so. Down there off Ensenada.
So my boat's leaving right now.
The Independence?
Is leaving right now for a day and a half trip.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Or they already left. They might have already left, but. So
Hopefully
tomorrow, it doesn't look too bad. Tomorrow in that area looks like 12 knots.
Yeah,
at,
it doesn't.
At noon.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
it's
excellent.
You want a little bit of wind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always nice to be out on a greasy, calm day, but
Yeah, a little wind.
a little
pushes the
wind,
boat
a
along.
little wind doesn't hurt. And if
Yeah.
you're fishing the kite during the day, you can actually get it up and fish it.
You just mentioned San Clemente Island. The Freedom has been having really good fishing out there. He's been pushing 40 yellows. He's having a shot of sea bass, some big halibut. He's been catching thresher sharks, a couple big thresher
That's
sharks.
on you. You know, of all the years I fished Clemente, I can't tell you I don't think I've ever caught a thresher shark. I've caught bonita shark.
I don't
there.
remember. Yeah, Makos. Yeah, but
There
thresher sharks?
there are so many thresher sharks in the harbor at times.
Yeah, I know.
You would be blown away.
Yeah.
Like when we're catching bait, there's times they're small most time. We grab them by the tail and throw them out of the net alive. They're alive. They're swimming in the net.
Uh-huh.
And we'll get 3-4 in a set sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, they're eating the anchovies.
Oh my
And
God.
I've gotten to a point now I can tell when they're on the bait because you'll mark a ball of bait and there'll be a little, as you're looking at it, there'll be a little hollow spot.
Yeah.
Where they're swimming through the ball
Oh.
and the bait like scatters
Yeah,
out.
right.
And you can see it on your sonar when you got a ball of bait. Oh shit, this one's got threshers on, which you really don't want to set on those spots because they chase the bait around in the net.
Oh, yeah.
And they're hitting it with their tail,
And the bait's all
The
screwed
bait's, well, it's just, you want the bait to stay calm.
up. Yeah, right.
If you got 1 or 2, it's not a big deal. But if you got 5 or 6 threshers in there, you just sometimes I'll just let the whole net go and let them go.
Yeah. Have you seen threshers this year so far, or is that a little bit
This
later
year,
on?
no.
Yeah.
No, this was last spring, but
Yeah.
but at times those things get in the harbor. I would say probably you're going to see them in June, May, June, July. They follow the anchovy and the bait around.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Exactly. You spent some of your youth in Italy. We talked about that a little
Yeah.
bit. And how was that experience for you? And how much time did you spend there?
Well, we'd go over for the summer. My dad was from that island I was telling you about, Ischia, which is right off the coast of Naples.
Yeah.
And we would go for like 6 to 8 weeks at a time.
And you get
we'd
to
stay
see
with my
how
grandmother. Yeah.
And then things are a little more primitive there, right?
You know, we were talking about how your memory is sharp when you're young, and
Yeah.
I was telling you how I remember going out. The water there was well water. They
Yeah.
lived on this island, and you'd throw the bucket in there with a rope, and you'd pull your well water up, and then they would boil it. Like I don't even know. I don't even know if we had electricity then. We might not have. I think we did, but they would turn it off at certain times of the day, at night.
Yeah.
But I can't remember.
On a generator, maybe? Or
Maybe.
Or, yeah.
I can't really remember on the electrical part of it, but I do remember on the water and the shitter.
Yeah.
The shitter was outside and was gnarly. It was like an outhouse, and I'm not sure exactly what an outhouse is. I've never used it. But this thing, it was a bathroom that was set up to where you could walk downstairs and there was like a compartment where all the waste would go. And my aunt was telling me my aunt would have to go down there and she'd put it in a container and she would have to walk it to the dump.
Oh,
there was a
my.
place where they dumped it.
Oh, God. That's a hard job.
It was gnarly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some people
it
would
was
bomb
I remember it's this tall, long, Anyway, but we were talking about like conditions, like we were talking about there was the first time I was there was dirt floors. Now we went 4 years later and they remodeled the house and they had running water, they had a flushing toilet,
Man,
and they had actually tile floors.
21st century, man.
But that was for only 4 years. That was from I want to say it was 10. So in 73 to 76.
Yeah.
There was a big change as far as the living standards there.
Yeah, and we were talking also about how much smoking some of the people did in Italy when you were a kid. And
it was
all
crazy. Yeah,
cigarette butts.
Yeah, I told you I woke up that one morning, they had leaf blowers, and I was walking down because I had just gotten there and my time clock was screwed up.
Yeah.
Jet lag, and they were using these leaf blowers. I go, well, what are they blowing? Like, from a block away.
Yeah.
And I got up there and they're blowing cigarette butts by the hundreds.
Maybe the thousands?
Maybe the thousands.
Really?
Oh, I'm sure the whole town was by the thousands.
God.
Because at night there's just hundreds and hundreds of people. It's a tourist town now, and in the summer there's thousands of tourists that go to this island.
Yeah.
And the Europeans are heavy smokers.
Yeah, I know. Huh?
Really bad.
What is with that? I don't know. Part of their culture, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like in China, everybody smoked there.
Yeah,
Everybody's always handing you a cigarette, too.
Yeah, so there was a lot of smokers, and they would blow all these cigarettes to the curb, and then there was a street sweeper had come by, and he would just he'd suck up. I mean, that thing was good too. It didn't leave any cigarette. It didn't leave anything. And when they were done, you walked through those streets, they were spick and span. There were no.
How long did that last?
The next night, every morning they would come and do it.
Yeah,
every morning.
That is crazy.
Because at night there would be like people walking around, all the shopping and restaurants, and that's right down there in the port. The rest of the island's really quiet. So my dad lived on the opposite end of the island from the port, and it's real quiet. There's a little restaurant down the beach. Went and ate there a few nights.
How was the food?
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Oh, I can only imagine, man.
I'll never forget. So we went. My daughter was hungry, so we went and got a salami sandwich for her.
Oh my God!
It was $2 for this big salami sandwich.
Yeah.
And the bread just came out of the oven.
Oh
and
my God!
It was like so soft. And they sliced the salami, so the salami wasn't dried out.
Yeah, right.
And they put this fresh provolone cheese on it.
Oh.
It was just a salami and cheese sandwich. It was awesome.
Oh my God, that sounds so good. The food in Italy has got to be to die for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the specialties, and have you ever eaten rabbit?
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah.
I love rabbit.
Yeah.
And the specialty on the island is rabbit.
Oh, really?
And people go to the island. They'll take the ferry over just to
have the rabbit.
And they make it they make it in different ways, but one of their most famous ways they prepare it's a rabbit cacciatore, like chicken cacciatore.
Oh, really?
In a tomato sauce.
I'll bet that's great.
Oh, it's awesome.
With heavy garlic, probably.
I ate rabbit like 3 or 4 times while I was there.
Really?
Yeah. If I saw it on the menu, I ordered it. And it was always different. Like at whatever restaurant you went to, it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Or I'd order fish. But the fish is like 3 times the cost of anything else. Like,
really?
It's amazing how expensive. And people eat a lot. There's not a lot of fish there. But they have a fish that looks like our sculpin.
Yeah.
Almost like it. And it was like, and they have it fresh. They'll show you want this fish, or they bring it out. It's like $40 to eat a sculpin.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That is expensive.
Yeah, or 40 euro.
Yeah.
So even more.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So, or they have these other fish. I don't even know the names of them. Some look like little perch. Some look like grunts. Some look like snapper. But they had different fish there.
$40 for a sculpin. That's a little pricey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot. Did you enjoy your youth there? The times that you spent
in
Italy?
It was great. It was fun. I was telling you, a lot of my families that came out here.
Yeah.
That my dad brought out. They ended up moving back.
And they were all fishermen or farmers, like you said, right?
Most of them were fishermen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you get it, huh?
Well, yeah, because my dad was a fisherman,
right.
So he introduced me to the ocean at a young age.
Right.
When we were there, we'd go out on the skiff like almost every day on the island.
Oh, really?
We'd row out, and then when he didn't feel like going out, I'd go with my cousin, and they had gill nets. They would pull the gill nets, and I'd help them, and then you'd get your catch. So you'd go out I used to meet him at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And we would row out, and then we'd get right at daylight. We'd get to where the nets were. They were set gill nets, and we'd pull them, and we'd get like a 5-gallon. I mean, there's not a lot of fish there. You got to remember, the Mediterranean's been fished for like thousands and thousands of years.
That's true. So is it pretty fished out?
It's pretty fished out.
Yeah.
So they have a lot more regulations now.
That's why fish are $40, right?
Yeah, there's still quite a bit of fishing fleet there now. Like all the ports had fishing fleets.
Yeah.
But they're a little bit bigger boats, a little more sophisticated gear. No more rowing. They're all motorized. But so we'd get out there. I think I was talking about we'd go out there and get that 5-gallon bucket of fish. And I remember one day we had a few lobsters got caught in the net.
Oh, sure.
So we went down to this restaurant. I go, where are we going today? And he goes, no, we're going down. This was, I think, the second time. The first time it was all rowing. Second time I went a few years later. With the guy actually had a motor on the boat by then, my cousin. And he goes, well, we're going down this restaurant. He goes, I get top dollar down here. So we went to this other restaurant. We sold lobster to the restaurant. And then we came back to town. And you go in the town square around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's like an open air market. People come down and they buy the fish from you.
Yeah, yeah. And what kind of money do you get for a lobster? I can only imagine.
This is years ago. I have no idea. I didn't even care. I was a kid. But I mean, now it's pricey. Lobster's pricey anywhere.
Yeah, I know. God, I mean, in China, I used to see our California lobster down at the Quinshan Mall. They were importing all that spiny lobster.
Well, they pay the best. They pay the best.
Right.
I'm not a lobster guy, but I could, Padal and all these guys that fish them tell me they get paid pretty well.
That's what they tell me too, yeah. And it was funny because I'd go, parents are always inviting you out for dinner, and lobster was one of the dinners they'd take you out for. And I'd peek at the bill, and it was expensive for them, expensive. But
Costa Rica, $20. I'd tell you, one restaurant.
For a lobster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One lobster tail was, it looked like a short. I mean, maybe it was 8 ounces.
Yeah.
But, it was good. I mean, that, and you get fish on the side with,
Did we talk about Costa Rica in the trip on this segment?
I think we started to.
Did we? Yeah. You went down there with Mark.
So I went down with all the guys.
Yeah.
And
Ricky Carbajal.
Ricky and Jeff and a bunch of guys.
My kids were like that big fishing with Ricky Carbajal up there. It was fun.
Well, he lives in Utah now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So we all went down there as a group. We got on a boat, went down, fished in Panama for a while.
How was that?
That's where that was the best fishing.
Yeah.
By far.
What were you catching?
We were catching Huachinango, which are like true red snapper.
Yeah, those things, and they fight, man, don't they?
Oh yeah, they're fun to catch.
They're bitching.
We were catching
dogtooth snapper, right?
We were catching dogtooth snapper. Yeah. We caught 3 or 4 other snappers. I couldn't tell you the names of. There's a lot of different fish. We were catching. Everybody's getting those Huachinangos, and I was in the other corner. And every cast I was getting these. I thought they were amberjack.
Yeah.
So I caught like 4 in a row, and I'm going, I can't catch a freaking Huachinango.
Yeah.
Finally got one right. And I'm catching these night jacks. We catch them in Mexico too. They're these jacks you catch at night. And it's just every cast was something. And
we're just bitching. I love that action.
Oh, it was a good action. Yeah. And the skipjack are on the surface, so you had to get underneath the skipjack. They're chasing squid, and there's these little squid, these little Humboldt squid about this big to maybe from like 1.5 to 2 inches to like maybe 6 inches. Not even 6 inches, maybe 5 inch was about the biggest squid. But you pinned one of those on a dropper loop, and you went down the bottom, and you were on.
Oh, so they had that in the bait tank?
No, we were scooping it under the light.
Right there.
It was around the lights.
Oh, how bitchin'.
Yeah.
Instant bait,
So we were doing that, and there was little flyers we were scooping and using those for bait, too.
Yeah.
Plus we had, have you ever seen an anchovety?
I don't know.
It
sounds familiar to me for some reason. Where would I have seen that? Down in Costa Rica or something?
We used to catch them up here in the bait net once in a while. We'd get like 1 or 2. They'd be mixed in. But they're trippy looking fish. And they look there. I'm not gonna spoil it. Can you show it on the?
I'll be able to show it later. So you're talking about it. While you're talking about it, I'll put a photo up there of it.
So these anchovetes.
Anchovetes. Somebody used to talk to me about that. I have some weird.
So check this out. Look at the head on it.
Yeah, I don't think I have seen that.
Look at the head though.
Yeah.
It's exactly like the body's
like a
herring.
baby tarpon or something.
Yeah, I mean it's
got.
Right. So if you look at the head. It's exactly like an anchovy.
Yeah,
but it's wider, and the body's like an anchovy, but then it gets deep.
Thicker, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's deeper bodied, and it's got a yellow tail on it. And they got some local fishermen to net them, and we bought them from them. And they look like they're all going to die the first day.
Really?
Some were dying, and they look like water's 87, 88 degrees. It's hot. I mean, it's at times it's hotter than the air is hot.
Yeah.
Hottest place I've ever been in the world.
Yeah, really?
Down in Panama, man. Middle of the day, you couldn't even stand on a deck.
Yeah, I know. I lived down there for a year.
It felt like 100 degrees, and the humidity was off the charts, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky.
Yeah, I know.
But after a few days, these things cured out, and these things live, man.
Hotter than hell.
They're hot, and they're really super. There was a super hardy once they cure out. That was a moth. That was an apple it was sitting on, and that was a moth that landed at our table.
Look at the size of that thing.
And when it was flying around, it was a hummingbird. It would hover and do this. And I thought it was a hummingbird, and it was this giant moth. But there was all kinds of creatures crawling around down there.
Yeah, I remember firefly. Did you see a bunch of fireflies at night anywhere, or we see those all over?
I didn't see any fireflies, but so I remember I was telling you about those amberjack. I was catching. So they did. They did sashimi with them.
Yeah, it looks good.
But so I go, man, that is sure different from the amberjack I've ever caught. Well, the guy goes, they're not amberjack. They're almaco jack. Almaco jack is different from an amberjack.
Huh.
And he goes, the meat on them, oh man, better. It's kind of like a yellowtail, but better.
Freaking looks delicious.
Oh, it was awesome.
You're gonna send me these photos.
Yeah, I can send you some photos. Yeah.
And I'll lay them into this.
So we, and then there was some of the dog tooth.
Oh yeah.
I'll send you a bunch of. I'll send you a bunch of photos. But yeah, we had a great time. I'll tell you, it's hot. We were 7 degrees above the equator.
Yeah.
Where we were fishing. And man, it was hot.
I know, it gets hot down there. I lived in Golfito, which is, where that is.
Oh, that's right there, yeah.
Yeah, down near Panama.
We went in toward there one day.
Freaking
hot, I got a picture of the point in the Golfito.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, this is the point of Golfito right here.
Oh,
the other side of that's Golfito. There's a little island outside of there.
Golfo Dulce, I think it's called in there. Yeah, that's
there's
a cool
actually
place.
a U.S. Navy base in there. I didn't know. Yeah, I tucked way back in there.
Yeah. That was a great place. I had a lot of fun living
there was like right on the beach. There's a little surf camp somebody had set up right up on the shore there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And did you get a chance to interact with the Costa Rican people? They're great people.
Oh, they're nice people. Yeah.
Ticos.
Yeah, no, the Costa Rican people are great. It's like any place though. You go in. One of the guys, he got somebody tried to rob him in Jaco.
Oh, really?
In Jaco.
One of your guys?
Yeah.
And what happened? Is there a story to this?
Yeah.
Are we going to say?
I'm not going to tell the story, but it was kind of ugly. But the guy, he got away.
He did.
Yeah. He ended up having to go to work on a couple of guys that were trying to attack us.
That sounds interesting.
Some guy came at him with a machete.
Really?
Yeah.
And what did he do? He fought back?
Yeah.
I'd turn around and I'll tell you my story.
No, this dude, if you knew this guy.
He's a tough guy.
No, this guy's huge. This guy's like 6'1", I'm surprised anybody would even mess with him.
Yeah, I know. Normally those big, strong-looking guys, people
skip
over them.
As the guy was coming, grabbed one of the other guys that was with him and threw him into the guy with the machete and grabbed the guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And so was there?
He was in a bad area. He went one night. He wanted to go down to this bar or this club somewhere.
And it just
he went by himself.
Yeah.
And
I'm hearing all kinds of mistakes here. I've made them before in my past.
Oh yeah, we were talking about this. I think on a lot. It doesn't matter what country you're in. If you
can find trouble.
You can find trouble.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to paint that as a picture of Costa Rica. It's not.
But
that was just an isolated incident.
It's a good lesson that there are some bad areas in every single country, including this one.
You don't go out at 2 and 3 in the morning
alone,
by yourself.
Alone.
So he was a target first of all.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you looked at the dude, you wouldn't want to mess with him.
Yeah, I know.
He's got like 25-inch arms and 20-inch arms and
he must have gone
shaved head. He's every bit of like 340.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to show you a picture of him, but you'd go, "Whoa, I wouldn't mess with him."
Yeah,
he looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I wouldn't mess with his grandmother at my age. Let me tell you, I'm over the hill. Listen, by the way, I was walking down. I asked my wife 20 years ago. I go, "Hey, can I walk around here?" And this is when I was walking 8 miles. So she thinks I'm going to go around the block. She was, "It's perfectly safe. Don't worry about it." So I walked into the crap area where these gangsters were. It's called Chapolinas, Grasshoppers. That's the name of the gang.
Yeah.
And I walked down, and it just felt different. But I'm like, I'm cool, So I start walking up, and a kid comes out of the bushes, 15, stands right in front of me. I'm walking straight at him, and I'm walking, and I'm all of a sudden,
I think you told me about this.
Yeah, this evolutionary grabbed me, and I said to him, "Can I help you?" And he pulls out this huge freaking knife, and I start pedaling. I actually started pedaling backwards. I felt it coming. And I turn, I'm not like your buddy, I turn around and start running, looking for a rock, looking for anything. And then I turn and he's back there, laughing. But that was a close call, man. If I would have walked any closer, and this is not to paint all the people in Costa Rica I know.
Yeah.
All
Well,
my
this is
this has
Costa
been
Rica.
good. That was Costa Rica. Yeah, that was San Jose.
Yeah, I've heard San Jose is a little rough, but we flew in and out of there, and we were hopped in a shuttle, and we're out of we didn't spend any time at all in San Jose.
Did you see any other wildlife? Any crazy stuff? Like,
Oh yeah, there's monkeys right there. We stayed
pretty
at
bitchin', right?
stayed at a really cool hotel down in right by Mount Antonio National Park.
Oh, okay. Near Capos, like?
Yeah,
or-
near Capos. Yeah, south of Capos by maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah,
car ride.
right. Manuel Antonio's great. Yeah, the monkeys come right down to the beach and the
we
trees.
had this. So we were having lunch one day, and and this iguana walks over to us.
Just say, hey, what are you guys doing?
Where they got
I'm
the picture.
hungry.
So the guys, we weren't even paying attention. It since there was some sauce on the cellophane, it got the cellophane. Went, oh shit! So we tried to catch this to get the cellophane away, and it runs out on this tin roof. It was like there was like this wall with little, so we couldn't run out on the tin roof, and it almost like it knew. It ran out there, and it sits there and it eats the cellophane.
Are you serious?
Eats all,
That's
shit, man.
freaking funny.
And we go, I think he's gonna end up dying. We felt bad. Fucker comes back, and he comes around, and he's eating again in the plate that we had left there, whatever sauce and food was in there.
That is funny.
And I had a picture of it. But anyway, I had a picture of him. He was right up on the plate, trying to eat the sauce. Here he is. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Good photo,
I think
man.
it was fine. I think he just probably crapped that cellophane out.
When I first went to Costa Rica, I was in a seminary. I wasn't studying to be a priest, but that's where they stuck me. And so I was with these seminarian guys, and they wanted to learn the dirty words in English. They taught me that was the first thing I learned, dirty words. But there was an old priest. He was an American, and he would drink rum and Coke, and he'd say, "Come on out here, have a rum and Coke, and sit here with me." And he'd freaking go, "Watch this," So he's smoking a cigarette, and he'd flip it, and he goes, "It looks just like a firefly," and the bullfrogs eat it every time. So a bullfrog would eat it and then spit it out right away, and then he'd laugh. He thought it was the funniest thing, which I know some people would think is cruelty and blah blah, but it was just it's what happened. It was funny, man. There's so much wildlife, so many crazy things.
Yeah, so we saw all kinds of stuff down there.
Would you go back there?
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. That's the second time I've been. That's the third time I've been to Costa Rica.
Yeah. Have you been there on work before, or always
No,
pleasure?
always just vacations, and always like extended. At least a week or longer.
Did you do the whole country pretty much, or have you done like Punta Arenas and down?
I've done it in sections. This time we didn't. We were more to the south. But the one year we flew in. This is a long time ago. We flew into San Jose, spent a night there. Went into Limon, which is on the East Coast, and then we boated up all the way to the Nicaraguan border, and we fished there for a couple of days.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and then we flew out from there.
You boated up on a river or what?
So, yeah, we boated up on a river. That's the only way to get there.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, at the time, this lodge was called the Tortuga Lodge, but I think somebody took it. It's a different name. I looked it up the other day, and it's not there anymore. When I was down there, I kind of looked up the lot to see if it was still there.
Yeah,
but fishing was kind of so-so when we were there. It rained a lot.
Yeah.
It rains on that East Coast, rains up in the north, it rains like 300 and some inches a year.
Yeah, I know. It rains like hell. Our summertime is when they're getting their rain, and our wintertime
You want to talk about bugs, dude.
Oh, I know.
Oh, my God.
Brutal, right? Huge, big bugs.
There was, the time we went there, and this is like 30 years ago, this trip, there was this two couples from Spain, and Spanish people are pretty light skinned for the most part.
Yeah.
I just remember she had these white legs, but she had mosquito bites of some sort. I'm assuming mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Red pockmark. I mean, there was so many on her legs, you couldn't tell one from the other.
That could be those colorodillas too. They're in the grass. If you walk in or lay in the grass,
it could be whatever. I don't know what it was, but so I knew a lady that lived from Belize that told me get this stuff called jungle juice. You get it at REI.
Yeah.
And so I brought it this last trip, but I had it down that trip, and I wore it. I didn't get any bites at all.
Really?
And guys were getting, like at night when you have shorts, and you're sitting at a table, and you get mosquito bites on your legs. I put the stuff on my legs. It's kind of oily.
Yeah.
But
it works.
It works.
Jungle juice.
Jungle juice. REI.
They should be advertising.
That's a secret from the people that live down there.
I love it, man. Yeah, that's a good tip because those things, even in parts of Mexico, you get.
Well, I've heard like if you go down and fish that Amazon for the peacocks, you got to wear like face netting and stuff. Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah. Have you done that yet? Do you want to do that? I would love to go.
I would. I don't know if I would. You know, it's because I've heard that like Jeff's girlfriend Lori's done it like twice.
Yeah, she goes with Howard Hatta, right?
Yeah, she goes with a group of guys.
Yeah.
And it didn't sound like fishing's been all that good.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on the water levels.
Yeah.
If the river's high, it's good. If it's low, it's not, or
Yeah.
something to that nature. I think that's what they were telling me.
We talked about this being in your family, fishing.
Yeah.
Your son, Mark.
Yeah.
He's a great kid. I've got several charters with him again this year. I
tried
love
to-
the way he runs the boat.
I've tried to wean him off it, but it's just there's no getting him away from the boats.
Really? Have you, honestly?
Well, I just no. I offered him college. I said, go to college.
Yeah.
I go, don't worry about it. We'll pay for your college. And I go, because it's one thing I wish I would have done, but I really didn't have an opportunity to go to college when I was growing up.
Right.
And he didn't want to. He wanted to do this. Went
my son Philip.
Went to license prep school, got his license, has been on the boat. He's been fishing with me since he was 7. He's got a lot of days.
He's got it in his blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, from a guy who went to college, and the way I look at things now, this is not a knock on every college, but some of these places are just indoctrination camps. They don't teach you how to think, they teach you what to think. That's scary to me. So I look at my 2 sons. Patrick went to college, Philip didn't go, and they're both smart guys. They're both, so I don't know. I'm kind of split on. I remember what my mother used to say to me, and this made some sense. I used to say, I want to run a boat, right? I want to be a fishing boat captain. And she said, great. You want to be a fishing boat captain, you're 16, okay? Look, get a college degree, because someday in the future, when it comes to a decision, you're going to have to be a fishing boat captain. If you have a college degree, you can go do something else. That kind of made some sense to me, but
well,
I don't know,
What I was trying to get my son to lean toward was going to maritime school up in Vallejo.
Yeah.
Because then you can get like a 500-ton unlimited.
Right, I've seen that.
So you can kind of, if you got a 500-ton, it's better than a college degree.
You can do anything you want, right?
You can make. I mean, I know guys making $800,000-900,000 a day.
Really?
Running boats.
Yeah. Well, what are they running? Like huge?
Usually in the Gulf, like a friend of mine, Manny, he was running a oil research, but he's got an unlimited license. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much he was making, but I know guys that are making $800 a day just working in the oil fields.
Wow, that's a good living, man.
Damn good, especially
right?
down there.
Yeah.
If you're living down there, but some guys were flying. They were flying from San Diego to Texas and then working.
Yeah, excellent. Bluefin tuna, let's talk about that for a moment. How blessed are we to have that fishery, man? Let's not overlook it. Let's not take it for granted, right? I mean, it's really remarkable.
It's unprecedented.
Yeah.
To see this much fish this early, and the seniors already caught their quota. So you remember, there's already been 3,000 tons of fish caught.
Yeah.
Mexican quota.
So there's
the U.S. doesn't even really have much of a quota anymore.
Yeah.
Like we're shut down pretty much.
Yeah.
But other countries still fish it. That's what gets, that's the thing that's really hard to swallow.
Yeah.
We're trying to conserve and we're trying to watch our resource. And, you can drive 10 miles over the border and you guys can catch whatever they want.
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating.
Mexico's pretty good about it. With their quotas and how they handle their fish, there's plenty of fish to handle the quota. It's just when the fish go, and I don't know if these fish are doing anymore, when they're going trans-Pacific, when they're going across the, going to
Japan or
the Western Pacific.
Yeah.
They're pretty much, it's just the Wild West when it comes to fishing.
Yeah, exactly. It's really crazy. But did you ever think you'd see something like this? You just said you don't even know if they go back anymore. It's almost like they've taken up permanent residence here.
Yeah, and I don't have nobody could really have an explanation for why.
Right.
They're doing what they're doing. I mean, you can speculate.
Yeah, who knows? All I know is that we're pretty blessed, right? I mean,
what year was the Fukushima power plant?
Shoot, I don't know. When was that? Like 8 years ago?
I don't know, but I had one guy say that. I mean, I remember that when it first happened, they were saying that we had to check the bluefin for radiation.
Yeah, was that true or BS?
I think it was BS.
I do too.
I think it was BS.
Yeah.
But they were saying that, and I read a couple things on it. I think it was just
crazy talk,
false information out there to try and get us not to fish for them.
Yeah, right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But no one ever showed me any proof that that's some bullshit story somebody came up with.
It sounds like it.
But ever since then, we've had phenomenal bluefin fishing.
I know. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. I think it is, but I'm just so grateful.
Well,
for
it could be.
So
You know
good.
how many commercial boats were destroyed there?
Well, that too. You took off some pressure.
Took off a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like that could have been one of the reasons.
Yeah. So as you look ahead to sport fishing here in California, are you optimistic or kind of in the show on whether I hope it's not pessimistic? Are you optimistic? I'm not talking about the fishery. I'm talking about the regs and the government and everything. Let's talk about that.
The fishery's in good shape.
Fishery's good, right?
It's just dealing with all these regs.
Yeah.
You know, California, I think they say they make up 10 new laws a day in California.
Yeah.
There's people that are behind desks that are just making up laws. Oh, we need to make up a new law, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Is there anything on the horizon that we should be worried about?
well, it's just this now they want to. So you know how we've always stayed in shallow to avoid cowcod?
Yeah.
Well, now there's this new thing. They're saying that the copper rockfish the numbers are down.
Yeah.
Well, there's no good data to prove that.
It's that
And
best
it's straight bullshit.
Yeah.
Because there's more copper rockfish and just as much as I've ever seen.
Yeah. So
So that story is just somebody that's spewing a bunch of bullshit.
yeah.
Period. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
We'll take them out there and show them. So they want us to fish outside of 50 fathoms. Now they want to shut down more timelines. So, I mean,
What the hell? And based on
So
that's that
so-
best available science BS, right?
that's the best available science.
Which means
Which is no science.
crap could
You
be.
know.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Sport Fishing Association has offered we'll just start releasing them with the descender device.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to let us do that or not. As of right now, they're not closed, but they want to close them next year and have all these different crazy regulations about you can fish. So once you go outside, say you go outside of 50 fathoms and
Yeah.
fish and it gets windy, and then you want to come into like 10 fathoms
Yeah.
or whatever, 20 fathoms and catch whitefish.
Yeah.
You can't do it because you have rockfish on the boat.
Oh.
So there's all these different caveats to these new regulations.
Yeah.
I don't even know how anybody could think of these. These are the most ridiculous regulations I've ever heard. You know, California pays in. I'm not sure what the numbers are, but fishing licenses bring in over $100 million.
Yeah.
Take a few $1 million and let's do some research.
Yeah,
Let's do
exactly.
some real research.
Exactly.
Get some of these kids out of freaking college that are looking for a job, get them on one of these fishing game boats that are sitting at the dock all the time and go out and do some surveys. Or better yet, hire some of these sport fishing boats and pick some areas and go out there.
What's the alternative to you as a landing owner and a boat owner? You to go along with what they're doing, or is there any legal recourse you can take? Or
I don't know. I don't know as of yet, but I think it could go down the legal road.
Yeah, because it's going to have a severe impact on your business, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So regs are a pain in that.
Every time you think, so we've had this strict rockfish regulations for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
And the rockfish have come back really good. So we're almost getting punished for rebuilding the stock.
Yeah, I know.
Staying out of the cowcod closure. Then there's all these other areas they want permanently closed all over the place, that they're doing.
And empirically, you go out there, you see as many copper rockfish or more than you have before, right?
Well,
it looks
there are fish you got to go where they are. In other words, like the places we go that they are, like Clemente. I see a lot of Clemente. See a lot of Nick.
Yeah.
Said Nick. There's a lot, and they're normally a fish that's between about 20 and 40 fathom. Your best fishing's anywhere from 20 to 40 fathom on them. So they want to kind of eliminate us fishing in that area.
Yeah.
There's also something called a quailback, which it's not really a target species. That's normally in shallower water, and you can let them go. They're small. They only get to be about this big.
Yeah.
So it's really not anything we target or want to target.
All right, let's end on an optimistic note. The fishery, you already mentioned it, but how's it look? Good? Look good to you?
Plenty of fish.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
this bluefin thing that's another thing they're saying. You read stuff that says there's only 2% of the stock of bluefin, the original biomass stock.
Yeah.
It's just not true.
Yeah, right?
It's not true. A lot of bluefin.
Yeah. It sure seems like it.
If you compare it to so I commercial fished out of high school. So I was 18.
Yeah.
I got out of high school and I went commercial fishing for 2 years. We would catch some bluefin, but like I could remember catching, one year we caught like 80 ton. And that's when there was no regs. There was nothing. You went out there and you went fishing.
Yeah.
So I'm going back 40 years.
Have at it.
41 years.
Yeah.
Have at, no regs.
Yeah.
You know, catch as much as you can catch.
The good old days.
And we still didn't catch that much bluefin. Not like now. I mean, if they had that now,
oh my God.
you could bring in literally, well, there isn't the amount of boats that could even do it now. But
Yeah.
back then there was a pretty substantial fleet
Yeah.
that could go out there and they could wipe out that bluefin in no time.
Yeah.
But I mean, they can go down there and, I mean, the Mexican fleet, they caught 3,000 ton in under a month. And that's live fish only. So that's a different process
Yeah.
than catching dead fish.
Right.
Because you gotta catch the fish, you gotta bring in the net, then you gotta transfer it to a pen.
Yeah.
And then you gotta tow it somewhere. And then you basically fatten it up.
And then ship it off to Japan.
And then ship it off to whoever
and
the
get
highest
big money,
bidder.
right?
Highest bidder.
Yeah. Who runs all that? Is that the Mexican government or are there Americans that own that stuff?
I don't know who. I think there's like 2 companies now. There was at one time there was like 9 companies, I heard.
Yeah. That's got to be big money.
They kind of put themselves out of business because they were, you know, it's like one of those things where they start competing with each other. Price drops, and then who's gonna go? How low are you gonna go?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Until, you know, somebody's left standing, and
Yeah.
then you can pump the price back up.
Yeah. Mark, I always enjoy our time together. This was, I mean, how many topics did we cover today? Just all kinds of different stuff, man. It was great. Thanks, my friend. It's always good to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I come back from China. I don't have anything to do. You give me the studio to work in, and things are clicking now. Really, really
Good.
clicking. But I can't thank you enough for giving me a shot.
Well, I'm glad
here.
it worked out because I know when you started, you go, well, I don't know, I'm going to try this. And
Yeah, right. Like, you know, I'm not going to sit around. I might as well do a podcast. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden it's just caught fire and our stats are flying through the roof. And I just thank you for the opportunity to do it.
Well, great,
here.
man. It's good to hear it.
All right, man.
All right, thanks, Phil.
We'll see you soon.
Good fishing. We'll see you on the water.
Absolutely.